So I'm here in the garage of a property that we're trying to close on. Stressful process. So originally it was moving really fast and we found this property. My wife found it on Zillow and it looked great because we were looking all over the country. I'm as an artist that does sculpture courses online. I work from home, and so we weren't tied to any locations. We could look all over the country, which was really nice. And we found a home in Iowa, Hardin County, Iowa, that we thought looked really good. This is one of the barns of the home that we found and that we really liked, and hopefully we'll be able to close on it really soon. So what we decided was the original closing date was on the 10th of July, and I wanted to see the property before we officially closed on it. So I took a yellow trailer and packed it as full as we could get it. I drove down the Saturday before closing, so the Saturday, and the week before closing, they let us know, the lender let us know, we're waiting on a couple things. They need some paperwork or something, so we're waiting on that, so we might need to push the closing back to the 14th. So we said, okay. So I didn't need to be there Monday, so I was just going to go down Saturday, drive down, and see the property just so that we can see it and kind of know what we're getting into before we actually buy the property. 16-hour drive that ended up being like 20 because I was going kind of slow because we just packed. We packed the car, we packed the trailer, and even put some stuff on top, a couple of beds and things. Packed pretty tight. Then I, by myself, drove it ended up being like 20 hours. 20-hour drive to Iowa to see the house. And there was a bunch of things that were kind of stressful on the way down. The tarp that I got from Harbor Freight, I should have known better because I've gotten tarps from Harbor Freight before and I've seen them and they just shred in the wind. But I got a tarp and wrapped it, and then as was expected, it just shredded in the wind, so I needed to get some additional straps to make sure that everything would stay in and we wouldn't lose some of the boxes that we'd put in. So I stopped at a gas station, got some straps, and then finished strapping things down. Luckily, the way I packed the boxes, it was pretty tight, so even though the tarp was loose, none of the boxes went flying out or anything while we were driving. Once we got everything tight, then I just kept driving down. It started raining a little bit. That kind of made me nervous because with rain and boxes, I was like, oh, those boxes could just be shredded, or whatever's inside, books or things, can get wet and stuff like that, or the boxes might just fall apart. But luckily, we arrived, everything was okay, put the stuff in a garage in the side of the building, and it's actually this building back here, this garage, is the one that we put it in. And so put that inside of the garage, and then I was able to see it in the morning. When I got here, it was kind of creepy because I'm looking, a lot of the buildings are similar to this. So I'm looking at the buildings. I come into this one at 2 in the morning. You're just thinking oh, this is like something out of a horror film. And that's kind of what I was thinking. And when you're in the dark and you're in a place where you don't really recognize, there's trees on the property, come into an old barn that's kind of run down and not taken care of, spider webs everywhere, and then your mind just fills the darkness with everything imaginable that could be hiding in the back. You're by yourself, don't know anybody in the area. And so that was kind of nerve-wracking, but everything was okay, and then I didn't have a place to stay, so I just camped out in the front yard of the property that night. We got permission to put our stuff in the garage before closing, and then we were just going to come down later in the week and leave the trailer that we'd brought as well as the stuff on the first trip. And then I went back to Utah and grabbed a U-Haul, and I grabbed the biggest U-Haul trailer that they have, which is 6 foot by 12 foot, and it is not that big. We got everything fixed in. We had to leave behind our washer and dryer, but they had one here that we thought were working, but turns out that they need some work to get going. It's just been kind of a crazy crazy ride, and you're in an area that you're not familiar with. We don't know anybody here. We didn't have any family in Iowa or anything like that. It is nerve-wracking. And then on the 14th, the lender that needed to approve the loan, they said I was approved and everything was good to go. And then they kept adding on things that we needed. So they would say, like, you need to give the background for this payment. You need to say why you're moving to Iowa and how you know that that's not going to affect your income, and have a letter and then send that to us. And then what is this payment? What was that for? And send that to us. And then they, instead of like giving us everything all at once, they would just like give us one thing, and then we would send that to them. Then they would give us another thing that we had to do before they would give us a loan. Then we'd send that to them, and then they'd give us another thing. And then finally, the 14th passed. We didn't close then, and then we were going to close on the 19th, the Monday. Then the morning of when we were going to close, they say, oh, we saw that you were going to get some money back after closing for some repairs for the radon in the building. And so we were like, yeah, we were just going to do that after closing. They're like, well, because it's a safety issue, that has to be resolved before closing. So we can't close the loan today. And this was after they already said like that it was good to go. We're ready for closing. We'd scheduled the closing for the third time. We had a date to go to the closing company or the title company. But then they were like, oh, you got to get the radon fixed. And so we scrambled to get that done, and then that was just done yesterday, and they're going to come test, and today is Friday, so they installed it yesterday, Thursday. Today's Friday, and then tomorrow, Saturday, they're going to come and do a new test to make sure that the radon levels are down after that installation of the radon mitigation, just because I guess apparently radon's a nasty gas you don't want to be breathing in all the time. So we figured we might as well get that fixed. So it's just been one thing after another, and now we're really hoping that the test goes well and that we'll be able to close, if possible, on Monday, though it might be Tuesday or later in the week. But we're really just praying that everything goes through. Just a stressful experience. You can see like just how kind of beat up everything is. You can see all of that junk in this barn. But I'm really excited for this barn. So I guess I just wanted to document, the before so that you guys can appreciate the after. So that's this building right here. So that one is going to be my art studio, the one I'm going to focus on. I was hoping all the buildings on the property were nice, but this one back here, where we put our stuff, the roof is leaking like crazy, and it just needs a new roof. And so I was thinking I'd rather spend the time and effort fixing this one, which also, it needs some repairs to the roof and everything, but I feel like it'll be a much bigger building, a bigger studio, and give me more space to do more stuff. There's a bunch of things that need to be resolved with this. Then I'll come show you some of the other areas. There's like this brush forest area that's kind of cool on the property. So here's the white picket fence. So we might take that apart and use the wood to do the flooring in that other building if we need the wood for that, which I think we will. There's also this barn, which is kind of cool here on the building. And then I think this was a chicken coop a little while ago, so we might look into getting some chickens. We'll see if that ends up happening. Then there's some junk, things that need to be thrown away on the property and stuff. And it's rough. We don't have a lawnmower, and we have, an acre. And then just adding up all the monthly costs. There's the mortgage, but it just starts there. And then there's electricity, there's the water, there's the sewer, garbage, which is separate from the city. So you have to get like a private company to come take the garbage out. But we have a gas stove, which is nice. We really like. So I guess the main thing is just that this is an adventure. Hopefully everything turns out well. It is a beautiful area. So it is beautiful out here. A little bit more humid than what I like. And then there's this barn. This barn has been on the inside. I guess it was struck by lightning and burned down. So I don't know if we'll be able to use that for anything. Probably need to take it down. And so there's a lot of things that need to be done. but it is kind of an exciting thing to be in the next process of, instead of renting your money just going towards rent and paying off their mortgage, we're able to start paying off our own mortgage and then hopefully build up some equity and then move again. Maybe our next home will be more of a dream home situation, whereas this one's kind of a fixer-upper. All right, stay productive, stay creative. I'll see you guys around.